With more parishes today offering the Holy Mass on a regular basis, I thought I would go ahead and go over some of the different missals that you can purchase to help you pray the Mass. You have your newly revised and printed Daily Missals. You have your used or handed down Daily Missals, and you have your reprints. The first ones we'll go over are the newly typeset and printed missals put out by two different printing houses, the Bonaventure Press and the Angelus Press. Now, the Angelus Press, they both come out in the same year, about 2004. The Angelus Press at one time made ones with genuine leather covers, and the ones they offer now are more of a synthetic cover. It's leather-like, and it's a nice cover. When Bonaventure Press first came out with their missal in 2004, it was a genuine leather binding, a bit smaller than the Angelus Press missal, a bit thicker than the Angelus Press. And these were printed in India on a cream colored paper. Nice paper. And then a few years later, they went to a larger missal. They went away from the genuine leather and went to it's a bonded leather. They say it's a nice bonded leather, but bonded leather is bonded leather. It's not genuine. The printing house for this one is in not India. They went to the Philippines. It is a larger missal. It's the same size as the Angelus Press missal. Thicker. The paper is more of a white paper than the cream paper they had before. See the difference coloring. The text is a bit larger. They still have the large English with the smaller Latin print on the side. Let's go ahead and take a look at the ordinary of the Mass. As you can see, this edition comes in three different colors. It comes in the black, it comes in the maroon or burgundy, and it comes in the white. Order the Mass. This missal is nice, but I think the text is a little convoluted the way they have it set out. They have it on with an Latin, English side, Latin, English, Latin, English. Just go through it. You can see what it looks like. Gloria. Ordinary Mass. The Gospel. Credo. Credo starts here. Goes through. Then you have the Mass of the Faithful, the second part of the Mass. Incense or solemn Mass. Father washing his hands. Sanctus, and then we get to the consecration prayers. Then we get to the consecration itself. It's consecration of the bread, consecration of the wine. Then we keep going. So communion, prayers at communion. People's Communion. It does not have the People's Confiteor in here. Conclusion of the Mass, dismissal blessing, the last Gospel. Starts here, ends on one page. Then you have the prayers ordered by the Pope. Prayers after Mass. Proper of Saints. Then we have, here's a section on offices of Tenebrae and Holy Week. Nice. Various devotions, various supplements for the different dioceses, England, Wales, America, Australia, Scotland. And at the beginning, we have some devotions, explanations, Vespers for Sunday, Compline for Sunday, Antiphons of the Blessed Virgin Mary, devotions and prayers, Litany of the Saints, most necessary prayers, of course, liturgical calendar, and your index. Now let's look at the Angelus Press. This again is the leather edition. Very similar to the other missal. Kind of curious about that. Came out the same year. A lot of it was the same. Okay, so we get into the index, introduction, liturgical calendar. Again, necessary prayers. Get into that. Devotions for confession, communion, for Sunday of Advent. Now, color vestments. Goes to the vestments, which is very nice. We get into the seasons. Then we get into the ordinary of the Mass. It's a little bit different. Let's look at that and see how different that is. Again, Latin on one side, English on the other. Explanations on the sides. What's going on during the Mass. So, Confiteor, priest goes up to the altar. Introit, Kyrie eleison, Gloria collects, gradual Gospel. Credo starts here, ends up here. And then we got the Mass of the Faithful. Second part of the Mass. Incensing for High Mass. Washing of the hands for the priest. Secrets. And then we have the prefaces. Prefaces are all here. And then we have the canon. And before the canon, of course, we have the Sanctus. The canon of the Mass. I enjoy the way this one is laid out. I think it's easier on the eyes. You don't get that eyeball confusion. Then we have the prayers of consecration. Focus in there. For the bread and for the wine. Prayers after consecration. Our Father. Okay, stay. Again, if you notice, there is no confiteor for the people. Okay. Conclusion of Mass, dismissal, last Gospel starts here. Whole page. Then we have the prayers after Mass for low Mass. Then we get into the Common of Saints, Proper of Saints. And then there's some proper saints for different. There's a burial, Masses for the dead, marriage service, sick, votive Masses. We have here Holy Thursday for the Holy Week prayers, Good Friday for the office, blessing of holy water if you ever need, blessing of candles for a journey, 40 hours devotion, prayer to St. Michael, proper feast celebrated in the United States, sacraments, baptism, extreme unction. Then we have our back pages for the Kyrie, and some pages for marriages, deaths, professions, baptisms, such. Now your next choice for daily Mass Missals are the reprints. These are missals that have been reprinted from the originals by actually 3 different companies. You have your St. Andrews Daily Missal with red edging and gold edging. Well, not really gold, but gold-colored paint. You have your St. Joseph Daily Missal. This is from a 1953. Again, either red or gold. Same company as the ones that put out the St. Andrews. You have the New Roman Missal for the Lassance, 1945 edition. And then you have the New Marian Missal, which actually, I forget what year this one is. It's taken from 1960. Let's look at the Marian Missal first. Very nice. It's a hardcover. They just brought out a new edition which has a vinyl cover, a softer cover than this. It's in both black and white and red. They're out of the Mary Immaculate Queen Center, Spokane. They do the reprints on these. It's a decent paper, if you want to call it Bible paper, just a softer paper. Printing is nice. It's dark. It's legible. If we look at the Ordinary of the Mass, it's in big lettering. It's good for those who have poor eyesight like myself. It's a Mass of the Faithful. There's the canon. Nicely placed. Okay. Proper saints. Vote of masses, various devotions, 30-day prayer. 2 ribbons, and it's a good sewn binding. It's not glued, so that's always a plus. Then you have the Father Lassance Missal. It's a vinyl, or they may even claim to be a bonded leather, but it looks more like a vinyl covering to myself. It comes with 6 ribbons glued at the top. Again, it's a sewn binding. One thing I have noticed about these missals is the binding is extremely tight, so you can tell by the way it's bending there that it is indeed a tight binding, which makes it a little more difficult when you want to try to have it open, since it doesn't want to stay open. Compared to a book like this, again, binding, stays open, turn the page. Beautiful. This one, I'm not sure why, but it's obviously the way the company puts them together. The gilding is nice. Gilt edges, gold. Simple end paper. Paper itself for the Mass. It's nice. It's a thicker paper. It's the beautiful pictures from the 1945 edition. Lettering's a little bit smaller, but it's clear. It's dark, it's clear. You can read it, it's legible. It's not a bad copy. Canon of the Mass, beautifully. In the back, the notes, the appendix, they added some feasts. Tell you here which ones they added. Overall, it's a very nice missal for those who like to follow Lassance. The layout, I myself enjoy the layout. I do like it. The Latin and the English side by side, at the same size. I think it's very well done, which is why it's a missal that a lot of people do enjoy keeping. Then we go to the 1953 St. Joseph Daily Missal, St. Bonaventure Publications, who also put out the St. Andrews Missal. Again, this is a sewn binding, simple white end pages. St. Joseph Daily Missal, Bonaventure. This is a good missal for people who really don't need the Latin, who just want to read the English, and that's what this is. Most of your, or all of your prayers are in English, English only. A little easier to follow. The only place you really find Latin is in the ordinary of the Mass, which starts here. Latin, English. Nice pictures. For those who like the St. Joseph, this would be a good buy. Canon of the Mass, beautifully done. Now let's look at the St. Andrews. Now these two are the same. The only difference is one has red, one has gold. Let's look at the red. Nice end paper. Again, St. Bonaventure, St. Andrew Daily Missal. So this is going to be a 1945 copy of the reprint. So you're going to have the nice pictures on almost every Sunday. Sometimes the full page, beautiful pictures. You can have a very nice explanation of that Sunday before the Mass starts, before the Gospel. Very nice. And then let's go ahead and get into the ordinary of the Mass itself. Just here. Preparation. It's English and Latin side by side. One thing I did notice, I was comparing it to my 1945 St. Andrew's Missal. Let's look at the ordinary. Beginning of Mass. One thing they did do, which I guess I can understand it, but you'll see some blank areas, like for instance here. What they did is anytime the Missal itself talked about dialogue or dialogue Mass, they took that out. For instance, what they removed here is, at low Mass we may join with the server in answering the priest, who reminds us of the significance both to him and to us of altar and Mass. I guess they didn't like it. They didn't like what it was implying, so they took it out. This one here. The ministers, or the server, and the faithful turn towards the celebrant and answer. So this St. Bonaventure publications this group is not really keen on dialogue Masses or the faithful replying for the altar server, or altar boy in this case. There's a couple more areas like that where they removed anything that signified there would be a dialogue Mass. Here's another part here. At a sung Mass, the choir or congregation, and at low Mass, the server and the people answer after every conclusion. Again, missing down here. The deacon or the server together with the people answer. Yeah, that's for another day. That is interesting, though. Well, since we're on it, tell me in the comments how you feel about Mass with the faithful replying along with the server. Here we got another place here missing. At low Mass, all may continue with the priest. Do you think that it should be reserved only for the altar boys? or servers? Or could the people also answer? Now the third option you might have is used. These are books you can find either, maybe they've been handed down to you from a parent or a grandparent. Perhaps you found them at a used bookstore or St. Vincent de Paul, Goodwill, or if you bought them off eBay or a online trade, or Abe's Books, something of that sort. But I'm just going to go quickly over the different types you can get. Of course, you got Father Lassance, you have the St. Pius, the 10th Daily Missal. This one is very similar to the St. Joseph Missal. So you have all just English for the days, at least most days. You have the Ordinary of the Mass. Again, and Troy I will go into the altar of God, to God the joy of my youth. Then you have the consecration and last gospel. Very simple missal, very nice. Then you have your Father Lassance Missal. This one I actually had rebound for me. This is a goat skin with raised ribs. He kept the same ribbons. Simple vinyl insert. He did a very nice job. I enjoyed it. I think I like it very much. Some of the other missals that are starting to lose their covers, I'll go ahead and have those rebound also. Okay, to keep going, we have... This is a St. Andrew Missal. This is a 1962 with all the changes that we use now. It has St. Joseph in the canon, has the New Order of Holy Week. This is the closest you're going to get before all the changes started to be put or implemented in the newer missals. And you started losing things like the prayers at the foot of the altar. But the downside is two things. Pictures, they changed. Let's look here. 5th Sunday of Easter. Let's go to the older one, 1945. Let's look at the 5th Sunday of Easter. Just for a comparison on what you see for the covers. So, 5th Sunday of Easter, 5th Sunday of Easter. This is the explanation. This is the explanation that's there. It's I think these explanations for the older ones are better, but anyway. You have your St. Andrews, you have the Cathedral Daily Missals, Marynal Missals. Then you have this missal. It's called the Missal in Latin and English. The interesting thing about this one is that the Gospel readings are taken from the Father Ronald Knox translation. So if any of you out there have a Ronald Knox Bible, you'll see that the translations in here for the Gospels are from that Bible. Then you have the Mass itself. It has two parts. It has the High Mass, Order of High Mass, and then also has the Order of Low Mass. So depending on which one you attend, you can use either one. And then you have the Cathedral Daily Missal, Marynal Missal, Bible Missal, St. Joseph Daily Missals. The Marian Missal, which is what this is taken from this edition. You have the two St. Joseph Missals. Now, depending on which one you get online, this one is a 1953 edition. So, the Ordinary of the Mass, Holy Ghost. This one is a 1963 edition. I bought this one because this is one of the ones that has St. Joseph in the canon. But another interesting thing is the translation is a little bit different. So here you have Blessed Joseph. Now, what I mean by the translation is a bit different in the English. Where here you have, I will go into the altar of God, to God the joy of my youth. I will go into the altar of God, the God of my gladness and joy. A little bit different, not big, but I know some people are concerned. So this is us. You may want to stay away from the 60s and stay with the 50s editions of St. Joseph. Jesus, Mary, and Joseph Daily Missal, and then of course the St. Paul Daily Missal. Another excellent find if you can. English, Latin next to each other. The Ordinary of the Mass is beautifully done. Nice pictures. Great missal. Now, just a couple of words of warning if you're going to be buying your missal online. The St. Joseph Daily Missal and Hymnal with New Revised Liturgy. These are the ones you want to stay away from. You'll see them online as rare or old or antique and with high prices. These were printed for the Revised Liturgy for Vatican II. I would do my best to stay away from these. There's really nothing in here that you would want. We can look at the Mass itself just to get an idea of what I'm talking about. So we have the Ordinary of the Mass. What starts out with, I will go to the altar of God, to God who gives joy to my youth. Our help is in the name of the Lord, who made heaven and earth. And then straight to the Confiteor. So skips a lot of the prayers at the foot of the altar. Yeah. Then we go into the Introit, Gloria, Gospel, Sermon, Homily, the Nicene Creed, Offertory. Okay. Eucharistic prayer. At least at this time there's only one, but again. Then we go to the canon. They took out blessed. Instead of we honor Blessed Joseph, it's just we honor Joseph. Interesting. Lord's Prayer, Agnus Dei, although most of it's there, it's still hollow. Of course, no more prayers at the foot of the altar either. I just keep this to show people what not to buy. It's definitely something you don't want. So there you have new, used, and reprints. Those are the 3 types of missals you'll find online. If you're going to choose a missal, you're going to spend $50 on one of these, 60, 70 on one of the reprints. Just go with one of the new ones. Either Baronis Press or Angelus Press. You will not lose. They're not perfect. I don't think there is a perfect missal out there, which is why I have so many. Always trying to find the perfect missal. It just doesn't exist. Because what items you may want in a missal, someone else may not want. If you have any questions, please let me know down in the comments. I'll be happy to try to answer as many as I can. I'm not an expert in missals. I just have a lot. And I enjoy keeping them. I enjoy reading through them because they all have their little differences. Some have certain prayers, others don't. Some have certain translations, others don't.